2 balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. This is way back. Walk-a-walk. Chris Taylor.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today by Scott Geirman of DodgerBlue.com. We are continuing our series of MLB Network's top 10 rankings at every position. Where do the Dodgers fit in? Or in today's case, where do they not fit in? We're talking left fielders today, and there were no Dodgers, unsurprising, on the top 10 list of left fielders. This was before the Dodgers signed David Peralta, Scott. I don't think that would have changed anything here. I assume you're with me. Zero surprise here that no Dodgers on the top 10 left fielders. I mean, we don't even know who the Dodgers left fielder is going to be.
Yeah, no surprise. Just like you said, we not sure what 2023 really has for Dodgers in left field. Figure it'll be a mixed bag of a handful of guys, and that's kind of where they're at.
Yeah, left field and center field, I would just sort of throw in a bucket. And I think you've got about 5 guys realistically who could see time out there, throw a couple wild cards in if you want to. Focusing on left field, they signed David Peralta, $6.5 million, I believe, is what he got, plus some incentives. It seems like he's going to be the most common choice out in left field, at least from a platoon perspective. He'll hit against righties where he has been very good. Other guys in the mix, Chris Taylor, of course, Trace Thompson, of course. I suppose James Outman, if he's not playing some center field. Jason Hayward, I think, is the other name that's getting some buzz prior to spring training. You could throw in guys like Bradley Zimmer and Steven Duggar in the center field conversation, but they feel like way more of wild cards. I suppose Michael Busch could be in the left field conversation. I mean, there are a lot of options. Let's talk about Peralta. This is a guy Dodger fans are probably somewhat familiar with because of all his time with Arizona. Were you a fan of the Dodgers going out and adding one more person to this left field competition? And were you excited that it was Peralta in particular?
Absolutely. That was kind of a forgotten move. It gets so late in the offseason, ramping up spring training. Guys, the team's already, reporting, and they signed David Peralta. He's a big league player. He's a big league bat. So I think that they definitely did need that. Trace Thompson, you can't really bank on him replicating that success against righties. That was as fun as it is in his second stint with the Dodgers. We'll see that it's going to be difficult to expect him to replicate that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I really like the David Peralta signing. That's gives them something another platoon advantage against right-handed pitching. But against lefties, it's a different story. We'll have to see.
Yeah. One thing that I would say kind of summarizes a lot of what the Dodgers have done this offseason, which is probably why it was so unpopular. They made a lot of moves around the fringes that were more floor raisers than they were ceiling raisers. I think Peralta is the perfect example.
Yep.
When you look at the group in left field, there were a ton of question marks. Chris Taylor was really bad last year. Trace Thompson had a miracle year seemingly out of nowhere. James Outman has yet to really prove in an extended period that he can do anything. Jason Hayward, there's a reason he's on the contract he's on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. With Peralta, at least you're getting a competent major leaguer. He might not be an all-star. I think his best years are behind him, but he can play a competent left field defensively. And if you just stick him in there against righties, he's got an OPS in his career, I believe, over 800. So I like that from a floor-raising perspective. Just get a bunch of guys who are competent major leaguers and surround them with the absolute studs you have in Mookie, in Freddie Freeman, in Will Smith, etc. That's the approach. So I like the Peralta move from that perspective. I'm curious how you think they play around Peralta. Like, who gets the second most reps out in left field? Is that a Chris Taylor spot? Jason Hayward's a guy who's getting some buzz. Where do you land on kind of who maybe is second in line behind Peralta in left field?
I would like to say Chris Taylor, honestly. I'm going to give Chris Taylor a pass for this past season. I think that he's earned that. That's just guys who come in have had seasons of success for, I'd say multiple years. And then you just have something completely out of nowhere. You look lost, which is unfortunate because Chris Taylor turned his career around with the Dodgers, and everybody knows he's just one of the most valuable utility men. I think Chris Taylor, I'm going to kind of look at his 2021 stats and hinge on that. He was about a 300 hitter for all your batting average fans out there in 2021 against lefties.
Shout out Matt Moreno.
So I'd like to really highlight, 2021 for Chris Taylor, and he was, like a 140 WRC plus against left-handed pitching. So
Yeah.
he will be the platoon out there, whether it's in left field, center, what have you. But I think if you're looking at a guy second to David Peralta, it will be Chris Taylor.
Yeah.
And Also, Miguel Vargas. He saw some
Okay.
time in the minor leagues as a left fielder, just a little bit. If they do need to put him out there, I think they will. I think they're comfortable with that. He's shown a lot of versatility early on. He's been working a bunch at second base, working in the infield. I think he can do it. But I'm gonna say Chris Taylor. He's gonna see a lot more time in
Yeah.
left field, and I think we'll see a new a new version of Chris Taylor. That's not the 2022 Chris Taylor.
Yeah, I like it. I think the platoon splits make a ton of sense there. Have him against lefties, Peralta against righties, and then kind of figure it out in center field. I think Taylor's going to be playing a lot. Like, I think against righties, maybe he's playing in center field, and against lefties, he's playing in left field, something like that. But we shall see how that all shakes out. Lots of guys. I mean, Michael Busch, another guy we didn't really mention, I think could find his way in there. You mentioned Vargas, like Miguel Rojas can fill in on the infield, and then Vargas bumps out to the outfield. So I think that what the Dodgers have given themselves is a bunch of dart throws. It's like, all right, well, one of these 5 or 6 guys, Hayward, Outman, Trace Thompson, Michael Busch, like one of those guys, if 1 or 2 of those guys hit, then you've got Peralta in left field, the other guy in center field, and the third guy kind of mixing in. I think that's how the Dodgers are going to approach this. And honestly, I feel okay about it. I'm not necessarily super confident in any one of those guys, but if you're telling me what are the odds all of them bomb, I think that's low. I like Outman. Everybody knows that who watches this show. Taylor scares me. Thompson scares me.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic about Hayward. So it's just kind of like figure something out. And some of those guys, by the way, can just give you competent defense. Like I've said with Outman, I think he's going to give you above average defense in center field. So even if the hit tool is a little bit slower to develop, at least he's giving you something compared to what they were getting last year in Bellinger. I think he could give you very similar. That's like the floor of Outman is what we've been getting from Bellinger as a total package. He won't be as good defensively. He will definitely be better offensively. And so we'll see. I would love to hear from people. If you had to pick one of those guys, Peralta's in left field, and then you've got Outman, you've got Busch, you've got Thompson, you've got Taylor, you've got Hayward. Give me one of those guys that you think hits. Leave a comment below. We'd greatly appreciate it. That's Scott. I'm Jeff. As always, check out DodgerBlue.com, DodgerBlue1958 on social media. And, of course, subscribe, ring the notification bell here on YouTube as well. We appreciate you joining us. And, as always, go Dodgers.